Well, we decided to broadcast on President's Day and record a little special interview. I have Tom Baxter, who is the editor of the Southern Political Report, which covers 13 southern states for our Insider Advantage and Internet News Agency network. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing well, Matt.
Good. Real quickly, coming out of the weekend, going into the beginning of the week, what do you think is the most important single issue right now in the battle between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton?
You know, I don't know whether you'd call it an issue or not, Matt, but experience and the ability to lead is really all that the Democratic race is about right now, I think. The Hillary Clinton campaign trying to raise doubts about Obama. In fact, the John McCain campaign beginning to do the same thing. And Obama very vigorously trying to establish the case that he is ready to lead on the first day in office. I think that's the big issue.
Okay, on the talk shows this weekend, basically everyone said Obama's going to be in the lead heading into the convention. The argument will be the superdelegates. Some are dismissing Florida. Some are saying Florida has to count. Some are saying Puerto Rico could decide the entire race, the very last place. By the way, I'm headed down to Puerto Rico later this week to talk to people down there. It's going to be the last thing that matters. We're going to find out what they think. But right now, what do you think? Is this thing going to go to the convention?
You know, I think that cooler heads will prevail before it goes to the convention. And we had a report over the weekend, Matt, as you know, that former Vice President Gore and a number of other top Democrats had decided that they're going to remain neutral in this, at least for the next several weeks, to try to get a reading on what's going on so that if they have to, they can apparently, I guess the thinking is that they can all act as one to head off something like that.
All right. Well, now I'm going to put you on the spot, take you off to a different subject. It's President's Day. Modern era. Let's take it 1900s all the way to the present. President you most admire, president you least admire.
Oh, boy.
Putting you on the spot.
Oh, boy. Well,
I'll tell you what, I'll take George W. Bush off the table so we can just all say that Bush is probably in one of the least admired categories for the moment, all right? That way you don't... I
think sitting president should be exempt.
Exactly.
There are a couple of them, Matt, that I can think of that would fit into both categories. Richard Nixon, for example, probably did more to bring about the end of the Cold War with the rapprochement with China than any other president did. Probably did more to set up the modern apparatus of government with agencies like the EPA than any other president. And at the same time had those fatal flaws that led to his leaving office. So I suppose you could make Richard Nixon into a twofer. But I think if you go all the way back to the 1900s, most people like myself who were raised in working class families would have to say that FDR is head and shoulders the most admired.
Very interesting, because, you know, as we get to the generations beyond, they don't remember FDR.
That's right.
And he's beginning to slip away from that status that he had when I was born and a very young child, and he was so highly revered. Well, I'm going to tell you the most significant in terms of who I think was the best president, who I think was the worst president. Here we go at the best president. John F. Kennedy. Believe he truly was the best president. Here's the reason why. Wasn't in office long enough to prove himself, but he was a combination of two things. He was an element of change, but he was not the incredible liberal nor the wild conservative that some argued. Now, some argued he was a conservative because they thought he was a hawk. And he was a hawk. He was pretty virulent against communism. At the same time, obviously, he put in the first steps towards, obviously, integration in this country. I guess Eisenhower arguably could have started all of that, but Kennedy started the first real movement. And Kennedy also had a good number of programs, both in terms of the space program that really we owe so much of our science and technology to, and at the same time saw the value of tax cuts. He was one of the first ones to really push, quote, Reaganomics. He pushed for a tax cut saying it would stimulate the economy. So I'm going with Kennedy as my favorite. My least favorite, LBJ. I think he was a complete failure. I think he took everything that Kennedy had going, exacerbated the bad, made that was good terrible, and was probably one of the more corrupt presidents we've ever had, as we're learning in all of the interviews and all of the tapes that come out from the time period. You know, God rest his soul, and Lady Bird Johnson, I just think he turns out not to be such a great president. But that's just my view. But we'll be asking other folks as we go through the week of President's Day. Tom, thank you for joining us, and we'll be talking to you later on the week in the Southern Political Report, Internet News Agency, and Insider Advantage.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.